Where's your phone?
It's in my pocket.
In your pocket.
With a McChicken, because like literally, I'm about to use it as a toy, and I'm gonna upload it on my channel. And today I'm gonna be telling you guys how I caught chlamydia and gonorrhea.
The internet has made plenty of people famous for the wrong reasons, but few have built a whole brand on being unbothered by their own train wreck of a life. That is the story of Lamar Cruz, an internet personality better known online as a Lil Mar. In the world of clout chasing, people will do almost anything to stay relevant, but Lil Mar took that idea and ran it straight into a wall more than once. This is not just some guy who posts cringe content for laughs. This is someone who built an entire online identity out of reckless behavior, public embarrassment, and a total lack of self-awareness. People online have called him a meme, a clout chaser, and a walking red flag, and honestly, all three fit pretty well. But those labels do not fully capture the scope of what Lil Mar actually represents, because behind the jokes and the viral videos is a paper trail that tells a far more serious story. This is the timeline of one of the strangest and most troubling characters the internet has ever produced. Lamar Cruz, better known online as Lil Mar, did not stumble into internet notoriety by accident. He chased it deliberately and without shame from the moment he figured out that doing something outrageous on camera was a faster path to attention than actually building a skill. His first real moment of viral fame came in the summer of 2017 when he filmed himself paying $60 to lose his virginity to a worker, posted it online, and then acted like the rest of the world was the problem for not doing the same thing.
Y'all can't just go to a motherfucking ATM, take $60 out your motherfucking bank account to spend on anything, let alone. Y'all need to shut the fuck up. Woo! I did it! I lost my virginity.
That one clip set the tone for everything that would follow because it revealed not just a person willing to do embarrassing things for attention. It revealed someone who genuinely believed that other people's disgust was proof that he was winning. The response he got from that video told him everything he needed to know about the internet. People were horrified, people were laughing, people were sharing it everywhere, and to Lil Mar. All of that looked exactly the same. Attention was attention, and he had figured out how to get it. And if that was not enough of an introduction, his second major viral moment removed all doubt about what kind of person Lil Mar was going to be online. A video surfaced of him being intimate with a McChicken sandwich and then eating it on camera. And instead of disappearing from the internet the way any reasonable person would, he described the experience as better than any female or male he had ever been with.
If you want to watch it, click the link up there. Or not, it's not a link, but that's the name of it. Just type that in on, and you know, you can go watch me have with the beautiful McChicken. That was so amazing. That was better than any female or male that I've been with, I swear to God.
The McChicken video spread across Twitter faster than almost anything else he had done, and people sent it to their friends the way that people share disaster footage, with a kind of horrified fascination that made it impossible to look away. What made it worse was that Lil Mar did not seem to register the disgust as a bad thing. To him, any reaction was the right reaction, as long as people were talking. The video became so infamous that people who had never heard of Lil Mar before suddenly knew exactly who he was. That kind of viral moment usually ends a normal person's social life, but for Lil Mar, it was just the beginning, and it cemented a personal philosophy that would define everything he did afterward. Shame is only a problem if you feel it. Running parallel to his growing meme status was Lil Mar's other identity, rapper, or at least someone who called himself one.
I'm getting money, now she acting funny. I'm getting money, now she acting funny. I'm getting money, now she says she want me. What? I think it's cause these bands she see me flaunting. I'm getting money, now she acting funny. I'm getting money, now she acting funny.
From the very beginning, his music career existed mostly as a vehicle for attention rather than any genuine creative ambition. His songs, titles like Do the Mar, Silly Head, and Shrug It Off, went viral not because people liked them, but because people found them genuinely, almost impressively bad. People online started doing dances to his songs, but the joke was always pointed at him rather than with him, and Lil Mar never once seemed to pick up on the difference. He kept dropping new content, treating the mockery like real support, and behaving like a man on the verge of a breakthrough that was never actually coming. That confidence, completely untethered from any actual evidence of success, would become one of his most consistent personality traits. It carried him through rejection after rejection without ever producing any visible self-reflection. His decision to audition for American Idol in 2019 is perhaps the clearest example of this gap between his self-image and reality. He walked in like someone who expected a standing ovation, and walked out without making it past the very first round. What is worth noting about that American Idol audition is not just the rejection, it is who he brought with him, his best friend Randall Huff, a name that will come up again in the most serious part of the story, and not in a good way. Around the same time his music was circulating as a joke, Lil Mar started keeping a detailed written list of every person he had been intimate with. He tracked names, dates, locations, race, and in several entries, age. He talked about the list constantly. He treated every new addition like a trophy, referencing it in videos, mentioning it in responses to criticism, and at one point directly stating, after abandoning a vulnerable woman in a strange city, that his body count was at 31, and that was all that mattered. The list was not private. It was something he voluntarily shared, which meant that when people started looking at it closely, what they found was not just embarrassing, it was alarming. According to the list he posted himself, a significant number of entries included individuals listed as minors, some of them appearing more than once. It takes a specific kind of detachment from reality to post that kind of document publicly, and not anticipate the reaction it would generate. But that detachment was never something Lil Mar lacked. He genuinely seemed to believe that the list made him look good, so he released a song on it.
Fuck on that bitch, raise her body count. I fuck on that bitch, raise her body count. Fuck on that bitch, raise her body count. I'm fucking that bitch.
His obsession with the list also made him an easy target for anyone who wanted to see just how far he would go. People catfished him repeatedly, and he showed up every single time, because the possibility of adding another name to the list apparently outweighed any instinct toward caution or basic common sense. In one catfishing incident, Mar drove over an hour to meet a girl who told him up front upon arrival that she was only there because he was a meme, and that nothing was going to happen. His response was to get a kiss on the cheek. That clip alone says everything about Lil Mar's relationship with reality. He drove an hour, got played for a content piece, and walked away believing he had still come out ahead, because the interaction had happened at all. That same pattern of showing up without asking questions, without thinking through consequences, and without considering who he was actually dealing with, would eventually be used against him in ways that went far beyond a prank, and the list he was so proud of would end up being one of the most damning pieces of evidence against his character. If there was one thing Lil Mar never learned across his entire online career, it was the concept of keeping things private. In a video that surprised even his most dedicated followers, he sat down in front of a camera and announced that he had contracted both chlamydia and gonorrhea, then spent nearly 15 minutes explaining exactly how it happened, who he blamed, and why nobody should feel embarrassed about it.
Chlamydia and gonorrhea. Now, a lot of you guys already know about this. I posted on Instagram, and at first I was very furious because, you know, I felt like the girl did it to me on purpose. I'll explain all of that in a minute. I'm going to give you guys the full story, but I'm also going to be telling you guys why I'm actually not ashamed to be like sharing this. I'm going to explain how it's actually how I flipped it around, and I'm making it a motivational thing now, because it's really nothing to be embarrassed of, and I'll get into detail on all.
He framed the whole thing as a motivational message, introducing himself in the video as a motivational speaker and saying directly that somebody needed to spread awareness about this, and that he was glad it could be him. That framing tells you everything about how Lil Mar processes consequences. Where most people would treat a health scare as a private matter, he saw a content opportunity and a chance to rebrand embarrassment as inspiration.
So common in America and all over the world, it's so easy to catch them. I just don't understand that, and I don't I feel like I'm helping people out. Because there's a lot of people who've actually came forward to me, either that knew somebody who went through the same thing, or they personally had those STDs, and they were telling me it's not even a big deal. They're easily curable, bro. Just take your antibiotics, you'll be fine. It's really not something, and I just want to let you guys know that and understand where I'm coming from and why I'm so public about this. Like I said, I'm a motivational speaker. It's literally in my Instagram bio. That's what I do.
What made their video especially revealing was not the health disclosure itself, but the detail he chose to include around it. He described the circumstance of how the infection occurred in full detail, named the platform where he met the woman, referenced a video he had already posted of their encounter, and explained at length why he had chosen not to use protection. None of that context was necessary for the awareness message he claimed to be making. All of it was consistent with someone who had spent years treating his personal life as a public performance, and who genuinely could not tell the difference between the two. If the McChicken video was the moment people wrote Lil Mar off as a strange internet curiosity, the homeless woman incident was the moment people stopped laughing. The basic facts are these. Lil Mar encountered a homeless woman, promised her housing in exchange, drove her across state lines after getting what he wanted, pulled up to an abandoned house, told her he had left his keys in the car, and drove away without her. He left a vulnerable woman stranded in an unfamiliar city with no phone and no way to get back to where she had come from. He posted about it online, not to apologize, to document.
Drive, Mark, drive. Drive. Here we go. Woo! I thought she was gonna be able to live with me. Stupid, dumb.
That is not dark humor. That is someone who used another person's desperation as a prop and then mocked her for believing him. His response when people pushed back on this was one of the most revealing things he has ever said publicly. He acknowledged leaving a homeless woman, stranded in an unfamiliar state without a phone, and then followed that by saying he did not leave her by herself.
I didn't know, I didn't have a plan really. I just decided to take her and leave her at this house, which was a little bit, I'll admit, but the thing is, the house that I left her at, it wasn't actually an abandoned, it was an abandoned house, but it wasn't in the middle of nowhere. It was literally in the same neighborhood that my friend Huff lives in, and I live 4 minutes away from Huff, so...
That sentence is not a slip of the tongue or a bad joke that landed wrong. It is a direct statement of priorities from someone who had just described leaving a human being in an abandoned house, and wanted to make sure everyone understood that the number on his list was more important than her safety. Alongside everything else, Lil Mar built a side reputation as someone who's treated public roads like a personal racetrack, filming himself weaving through highway traffic at well over 100 miles per hour, one hand on the wheel and the other on the camera. Of this behavior was a masterclass in circular reasoning that he seemed genuinely proud of. He had been driving for 5 years, he had never crashed, and therefore he was not dangerous.
A lot of y'all think that I drive recklessly, but in my opinion, I don't. I'm safe. I've never crashed before, so there's nothing much to that story. But anyways...
He described his normal cruising speed as 100 miles per hour and mentioned going as fast as 135, framing it as unremarkable because other people on Instagram go even faster. The logic being, other people do dangerous things online, therefore his dangerous thing is fine. What that argument completely ignores is that the danger of reckless driving is not just to the driver, it is to every other person sharing that road at that moment, none of whom agreed to be part of his content, and none of whom would have any warning before a vehicle traveling at dangerous speed appeared in their blind spot. There's a specific kind of selfishness in filming reckless driving content that goes beyond personal recklessness. When you drive dangerously for views, you are forcing everyone around you onto a set they did not sign up for. Lil Mar never acknowledged that once across all the videos he posted of himself doing it. To show how unapologetic he was, he posted a video where he ran from police after being caught for going beyond the speed limit. In this video, he endangered people's lives and almost damaged their properties in the high-speed chase.
Really trying to get it up higher. I was trying to probably reach 115 at the least. I think the speed limit is, it's 45. I just saw on the sign, but basically I ended up getting it up to 90, and unfortunately there was a cop. I'll zoom in. It was right here at that corner. I don't know if you guys saw that or not, but that was a cop. And at that point, I realized there was no point in slowing down. But basically, he turned on the same direction I was going. He did not have his lights on, so I don't think he was actually trying to pull me over. But I just got so nervous, and I almost wrecked several. I almost ran into that car that was backing up just now, as you guys saw. And then I almost dropped my bike right there. I was all over the road. I started blowing stop signs.
At the same time, he was building a reputation for recklessness. Lil Mar was also building a parallel reputation as someone who lied about his finances constantly, transparently, and without apparent concern for whether anyone believed him. He introduced new cars on camera with the same announcement format every time. I just bought a brand new, followed by whatever vehicle he was currently renting. Cadillac, a Jeep, a Ford Escape, a Dodge Durango, a BMW. Each one presented as proof of his success. Each one a rental that he eventually had to give back. He even managed to get himself banned from at least one car rental company after crashing a vehicle, which only pushed him to rent from other companies to keep the flex going. That detail alone tells you everything you need to know about the ratio of effort to actual achievement in Lil Mar's life. He was spending real money and real effort to maintain the illusion of wealth he did not have.
It's official. I just got the call today that my Tesla's finally ready. You guys remember when I ordered this Tesla months ago? Man, I've been waiting for this car since March. This is the Model 3. I did end up upgrading to the red last second, so that's why in my original order it was black, but this one is red. I did upgrade to the red since I got a blue car,
His most famous car, a Corvette wrapped in a Galaxy print that looked, as one commentator put it, like a 12-year-old's GTA 5 wishlist, became a meme of its own. The wrap was so recognizable that strangers could spot him from a distance, which managed to become its own form of public humiliation for someone who claimed to be embarrassed by nothing. He eventually sold the Corvette in 2024, but for years it functioned as the physical centerpiece of his entire brand, the proof in his mind that he had made it. He would reference it constantly, show it off at every opportunity, and treat anyone who did not seem sufficiently impressed as simply too slow to understand his level.
I'm actually a truck driver. Yep, this right here, this is what a Class A CDL gets you. It gets you Corvettes, you know what I mean? It's a very rewarding career. I'm proud. I'm proud to be a professional truck driver. And as you can see, my hard work paid off.
His dog, Lucky, fared about as well as most things in Lil Mar's orbit, and generally treating the dog as a visual prop for content rather than a living creature with needs of its own. One video posted in October 2022 showed him acknowledging that Lucky had been in the truck all day while he was out with family, on a day when temperatures were reaching uncomfortable highs. He said it casually, like it was a minor logistical detail rather than a welfare concern. People in the comments noticed that the Corvette seemed to receive more consistent care and attention than Lucky did, which, considering everything else documented about how Lil Mar treats living things in his orbit, was not particularly surprising by that point in the story. Everything covered so far, the memes, the list, the driving, the homeless woman, the fake flexing, all of it was building toward the event that turned Lil Mar from a cringy internet curiosity into something far more serious and far harder to dismiss as entertainment. On October 22nd, 2019, Lamar Cruz and his best friend, Randall Huff, were arrested and charged with a minor in a Walmart parking lot. The two had arranged the meeting online. One of the girl's friends had originally been included in the plan and backed out, unknowingly removing herself from the situation. After the victim spotted the police officers inside the Walmart and informed them of what had happened. Cruz and Huff were arrested on the spot. What happened next in the legal system is the part of this story that continues to generate the most anger even years later. Despite being 19 years old, a legal adult, Lamar Cruz was charged under the South Carolina Youthful Offenders Act, a provision that significantly reduced the weight of his sentencing. He served 4 months. His lawyers argued in mitigation that he had no prior convictions on record and that he was in the process of obtaining a commercial truck driving license, as if professional ambition was a relevant factor in determining the consequences for what had been done to a victim, who did not get to use her own future plans as a mitigating argument. His co-defendant, Randall Huff, received a longer sentence, and rumors circulated online that the disparity was because Mar had cooperated with prosecutors. Mar himself has never confirmed this, but he did post multiple videos cutting Huff off and distancing himself after his release, which did not exactly discourage the speculation. When he came out of jail, Lil Mar treated his release the way he treated everything, as content. He posted a video announcing his return and showed off a rental car. He had served 4 months for one of the most serious crimes a person can commit, and his response was to announce that there were no consequences capable of slowing him down. He also, almost immediately after release, made a video describing what jail had been like, calling it lame, and saying it was childish and watered down, and that the worst part of the experience was his cellmate farting. He said he would rather have been housed with longer-term prisoners because they were more mature. He was describing a conviction as an inconvenience that had been insufficiently challenging. The 2019 arrest shocked some people who had only known Lil Mar through the memes, but for anyone who had been paying attention to the full scope of his online activity, it did not come out of nowhere. The evidence had been accumulating in public for years, visible to anyone who cared to look past the jokes. He had also made public posts claiming to have gotten pregnant, then framed the whole thing as a rumor he had started himself to go viral. But even in that framing, the story does not get better. He was describing deliberately spreading rumors about himself involving a child to gain followers, and treating that as a satisfactory explanation. The FBI had contacted him on 2 separate occasions before the 2019 arrest. The first time was after he flashed a weapon on a Snapchat story and someone reported him for it. The second time was after he posted explicit content involving on his Instagram page. His response to the agents who visited him the second time was that it was acceptable, because he was 17 at the time and not yet legally an adult. He had also posted publicly on social media about his attraction to minors in a way that many people clocked as far too specific and too consistent to be ironic or performative. Comments about waiting for specific young public figures to turn 18, questions about the ages of young celebrities, public posts that read less like dark humor and more like someone who genuinely did not understand, or did not care, that this was not acceptable behavior to broadcast. He had been catfished multiple times by people posing as minors, and he showed up to those meetings. The most documented of these involved someone posing as a 17-year-old girl who arranged to meet him at a park. Mar arrived in his Galaxy Corvette, making it impossible to deny that it was him. He then took footage from that sting and turned it into merchandise on his eBay account, selling it under the caption, "Can I hold your hand?" As if getting caught attempting to meet a teenager was a brand opportunity. None of this taken individually could be dismissed as a coincidence or immaturity. Taken together, it forms a documented record of someone for whom the safety and protection of minors was simply not a factor in any decision he made, before or after a criminal conviction. After his release, Lil Mar made what he presented as a fresh start. He had his CDL, his commercial truck driving license, which he had obtained before going to prison. He got baptized on a beach in a ceremony he posted about online. He started making truck stop cooking videos and documenting long-haul driving routes. On the surface, it looked like someone genuinely attempting to build a different kind of life. The trucking community on TikTok had a different view of the situation. Once other truckers figured out who he was, which did not take long because he kept posting his face alongside his recognizable Corvette and announcing himself loudly everywhere, the backlash was swift and consistent. He drove a truck into a ditch. He could not identify the difference between a gravel road and a ramp. He ran his vehicle into situations that other truckers described as basic errors that someone with his license should not be making. Each of these incidents generated fresh criticism from a community that had no interest in giving him the benefit of the doubt. One trucker in particular, going by the name Slow Walker, made it his consistent mission to ensure that no one in the trucking community forgot what Lil Mar had been convicted of. He called him out, video after video, brought up the 2019 case by name and date, and served as a persistent voice for accountability in a community that had no structural reason to care about Lil Mar's internet history but cared anyway. Lil Mar responded to the trucking beef the way he responds to everything, by continuing to post, ignoring the substance of the criticism entirely, and finding new ways to flex material he did not own. The born-again Christian phase that briefly appeared after his release faded within months, replaced by the same content and the same attitude that had defined his presence online from the very beginning. To this day, people bring up his past in the comments of his videos, no matter how unrelated the topic. He has tried the trucker reset, the religious reset, the wholesome cooking content reset, and none of it has managed to wash away his reputation, because the internet has a longer memory than Lil Mar seems to have counted on. Every time it looked like the conversation might move on, Lil Mar found a way to remind people why they were talking about him in the first place. One of the things that makes Lil Mar genuinely unusual among internet personalities is how little he has changed across more than a decade of public documentation. Most people who go through a criminal conviction, a public shaming, and sustain community backlash at least perform some version of growth for the audience. Lil Mar did not bother with even the performance, at least not for long. After his release from prison, he was still posting comments about the ages of girls he found attractive online. He was still showing up to meet strangers without any apparent vetting process. He was still operating from the same internal rulebook that had produced a criminal conviction and 4 months in prison. He kept publicly posting statements like, "My standards aren't high, she just has to be young," and statements that remained up and visible on active accounts throughout the period when multiple creators were compiling documented evidence of his behavior and posting it for audiences of hundreds of thousands of people. There is also the case of Sarah, a detail that surfaced when Mar accidentally revealed it himself. A DM exchange he posted to his own Instagram story showed a girl named Sarah asking to reconnect with him. She mentioned that she was currently 19 years old. Mar's response in the exchange placed their original relationship at a time when he was 21, which would have made her 16 at the time they were together. There were photographs of them in bed together. There were photographs of them drinking together. He had been out of prison for approximately a year and a half following a conviction involving a minor when this relationship was active. The legal system, for its part, did not intervene. The age of consent in South Carolina is 16, and Lil Mar has referenced this specific fact in public more than once, in a context that makes it clear the state's consent laws have not been an incidental detail in his life, but something he has been aware of and apparently relied upon. Rebranding only works when the behavior behind it has actually changed. In Lil Mar's case, the content itself contradicted the narrative he was trying to build every single time, because the pattern of behavior that defined him was not something he was trying to change. It was something he was trying to get people to stop talking about, which is a very different project. The Canada story is the kind of thing that almost defies summary, not because it is complicated, but because it is almost too perfectly illustrative of who Lil Mar is to feel like it could be real. At some point, while living in Seattle, Lil Mar decided that Canada, approximately 3.5 hours away, would make for an interesting trip. He obtained a passport, which takes meaningful time and effort. He booked a hotel room listed for 2 adults. He arranged a rental car. He spent weeks posting and sharing stories expressing excitement about the upcoming trip. People who knew his history started making the obvious calculation about why a person with a documented pattern of targeting minors might be enthusiastically planning a short trip to a country where the age of consent is 16. At the Canadian border, agents ran a standard background check, found his first-degree assault and battery conviction, handcuffed him, and refused him entry into the country. He was sent back. He posted about the experience, describing how they treated him like a criminal immediately he entered the country. Yes, they treated him like someone with a criminal record because he has a criminal record. That was the complaint. He then claimed, days after posting his outrage, that the entire trip had been a prank, that he had not really been going to Canada with any bad intentions, that spending hundreds of dollars on a hotel, a passport, and a rental car, combined with weeks of excited pre-trip content, was all part of an elaborate joke designed to fool his haters. The Canada story is, in miniature, the entire Lil Mar experience compressed into one incident, a series of choices that only fully make sense given everything else we know about him, followed by a denial that does not hold up under any scrutiny, followed by him reframing the outcome as something that actually made him look clever. The only country that actually stopped him, and he tried to spin it as a prank he had been running all along. Lil Mar is still online, still posting, still trucking, still bragging, still flexing, still operating with the same fundamental certainty that he is ahead of everyone who has ever doubted him, despite over a decade of documented evidence that points in a different direction. He spent a weekend at Trump Towers in Las Vegas and posted about it extensively, explaining that he was there specifically to support Donald Trump financially by spending money at his hotel, apparently unaware that there are more direct ways to make a political donation. He treated the trip as a flex, the same way he has treated every car rental and every fast food meal on the road, like proof that he is living a life other people can only aspire to.
I'm out here at Trump Towers, eating good, eating lavish. Know what I'm saying? Got a beautiful view. Hold on, let me flip the camera. Got a beautiful view right there. You know what I'm saying? Y'all not living like this, right, Lucky? Lucky. Tell them they not eating. They not living like this. They not eating like this. They not living like this. This just one of the rooms, by the way. This is one of the rooms. This the living room. I got a whole apartment, matter of fact.
His dog Lucky eventually died, possibly in part due to conditions documented across his own posted content. He moved on from that the same way he moves on from everything, by continuing to post, and by eventually mentioning it as a side note in content about something else. His comment sections remain full of the number 14. In videos where he talks about where he sees himself in 10 years, people respond with comments such as, "What about in 14 years?" and "Buddy, you were just trying to make it to cell number 14. In videos where he talks about his Corvette, people respond by referencing the number. In cooking videos and trucking videos and flex videos, the number follows him because the people leaving those comments have not forgotten what it refers to and are not planning to. There is reportedly a girlfriend now who is unaware of his history. That detail, more than anything else in this story, captures the ongoing risk that Lil Mar represents because the behavior has never stopped, the pattern has never changed, and the people closest to him in his daily life may not know what the rest of the internet has spent years documenting. At this point, the internet has essentially turned him into a running joke that refuses to end, and Lil Mar seems genuinely fine with that, because to him, a running joke is still attention, and attention is all that has ever mattered. Lamar Cruz built his entire online presence on the idea that no consequence was real, no reputation was permanent, and no amount of public evidence against him was enough to make him behave differently. He has been arrested, convicted, memed, catfished, banned from a country, rejected by an entire professional community, and documented in exhaustive detail by multiple independent creators, and he has responded to all of it with the same energy, a catchphrase, a rental car he claims to own, and the unshakable belief that there is simply no stopping Lil Mar. The internet turned him into a lolcow, and that was not surprising. He is not a tragic figure. He is not someone who made one catastrophic mistake and has been unfairly defined by it ever since. He is someone who has made the same category of decisions repeatedly, across more than a decade, in public, and treated every piece of documented evidence against him as either a joke he was in on or a conspiracy assembled by people who could not handle his greatness. The number 14 follows Lil Mar into every comment section he opens, on every platform he uses, regardless of what the video is about, and it will keep following him because unlike Lil Mar, the internet actually does remember, and sometimes that is the only accountability on offer.